Can I ask you something a little direct?
Sure, that's that's actually why I'm here.
How long have you been studying English?
A long time. Maybe 8 years now? I passed my exam years ago. I watch films in English. I listen to podcasts. I can read articles without a dictionary, but the moment someone asks me a question in English, I freeze. My mind goes completely blank.
And what do you think the problem is?
Grammar, probably. I make mistakes when I speak. I say the wrong tense. I mix things up. I think maybe my grammar is just not good enough.
That's the most common answer I hear, and honestly, I don't think that's it.
You don't?
Not really. You just told me you read articles without a dictionary. You followed everything I said just now without any trouble. Your listening comprehension is clearly strong. That's not a grammar problem. That's something different.
Okay, what is it then?
Think of your English skills in two groups. There's input, everything that comes into you, listening, reading, that's receiving information. And then there's output, everything that comes out of you, speaking, writing, that's producing information. And those two things, they don't develop at the same speed.
Right. So you're saying my input is better than my output.
Much better. And that makes complete sense when you look at how most people learn English. You watch films, you listen to podcasts, you read. All of that is input. So of course your input is strong. You've been training that muscle for 8 years. But your speaking muscle, how much have you actually trained that?
Not much. Almost nothing, honestly. I never really thought of it that way.
Most people don't. They assume that if they understand enough, speaking will just follow. And it doesn't. Not automatically.
That's exactly what I thought. I kept thinking, if I just learn more vocabulary, if I just get the grammar right, then speaking will come, but it never did.
Because you were only feeding the input side. You were making your understanding stronger and stronger, but never actually practicing the output. And the frustrating thing is you can't fix an output problem by doing more input.
That's actually a bit of a relief to hear. Is that strange? I've been thinking for years that I must be missing something, some grammar rule I keep getting wrong, and now you're telling me the grammar was never really the problem.
It wasn't. Your grammar is fine. What you've been missing is practice on the other side. And the good news is that's completely fixable. It just takes a different kind of effort than what you've been doing.
Okay, I want to fix it. Where do I start?
Let's start with writing. Not because writing is the end goal, speaking is, but because writing is a gentler way to activate your output. You can think before you type. You can go back and fix things. It's lower pressure than speaking, and it starts to wake up that producing side of your brain.
Writing. Honestly, I haven't done much of that either.
Let's start completely easy. I mean, genuinely easy. A warm-up. Do you watch anything online? Films, videos, anything?
All the time. I watch a lot of stuff on YouTube, actually.
Perfect. The next time you finish watching something, go to the comments section and write what you think. That's it. 3 sentences, 4 sentences. What did you think of it? Did you like it? Was there something that surprised you? Just share your thoughts in writing.
In the actual comments, with real people reading it.
If that feels like too much at first, write it in a notes app and don't post it. The point isn't the audience. The point is making your brain produce something in English instead of just receiving it. That shift from receiving to producing, that's what you're training.
That's simpler than I expected. I thought you were going to say something like, join a conversation group or find a speaking partner.
We'll get there, but if I started you there right now, you'd feel overwhelmed and you'd stop after 2 days. The reason most people don't improve their output is they skip all the early steps and jump straight to the hardest thing. Then they feel terrible about it and give up.
That's exactly what I did about 2 years ago. I signed up for an online speaking group and I was so nervous that I just never actually logged in.
That's incredibly common, the anxiety of speaking, especially when you feel your output is much weaker than your understanding. That's real. We don't ignore it. We work around it, gradually, with steps that actually build your confidence before they test it.
Okay. Share your thoughts in the comments. That's step 1. What's next?
A daily journal, 5 to 10 sentences every day, about that day. What happened? How did you feel? What are you going to do tomorrow? It doesn't have to be long. It probably takes 5 minutes, but you do it every day.
Every day. No skipping.
Try to make it a habit, the same time, the same place, morning with your coffee or before you go to sleep. Attach it to something you already do. And here's something important. At this stage, grammar doesn't matter. Don't stop to correct yourself. Don't second guess every sentence. Just get the words out. Getting your output to work is the only goal right now.
That's actually a big relief. I always stop myself halfway through a sentence because I'm not sure if the grammar is right, and then I just lose the thought.
That's exactly the habit we need to break. At this stage, output first, accuracy later. Give your brain permission to produce without judging itself. The correction comes at a different stage.
When does the correction come?
When you're ready to move to the next level of writing. But let's not jump ahead. How does the journal idea feel, honestly?
Manageable. Actually, more than manageable. I feel like I could do that tonight.
That's exactly the right response. Start tonight. It doesn't have to be beautiful. It doesn't have to impress anyone. 5 sentences about today. What you did, what you noticed, how you felt. That's it.
5 sentences about today. Okay.
And don't worry if it takes you longer at the beginning. Writing slowly and thinking carefully is still output. It all counts.
You know what's strange? I've been studying English for 8 years, and nobody has ever explained it to me this way. Input and output. It sounds so obvious now that you've said it, but I genuinely never thought about it like that.
Most teaching focuses entirely on input, reading, listening, grammar rules, vocabulary lists. Output gets left behind, and then people feel broken when they can't speak, even after years of study. But they're not broken. They've just been training one side and ignoring the other.
I've been training one side and ignoring the other. That really is it, isn't it?
That really is it. After the journal feels natural, and it will within a couple of weeks, you move to the next level of writing. You pick a topic, something simple, and you write one full paragraph about it, 100 words.
What kind of topic?
Something personal. What makes me happy? What was the best piece of advice I ever received? What my perfect holiday looks like? Nothing abstract, nothing academic. Something where you actually have things to say.
And this is where grammar starts to matter again?
This is where you start to pay attention to it, yes, because now you're not just getting words out, you're starting to shape them. And there's a very useful thing you can do at this stage. After you write your paragraph, take it to an AI tool, ChatGPT, Gemini, whatever you have, and use a specific prompt.
What prompt?
Tell it exactly this. I am trying to improve my writing skill. Find my grammar and vocabulary mistakes, explain why they are wrong, and show me the corrected version. Then paste your paragraph underneath.
That's a lot more useful than just asking it to fix my mistakes.
Because when you just ask it to fix things, you get a corrected version, but you don't understand why. And the why is everything. If you understand why something was wrong, you stop making that mistake. If you just copy the corrected version without reading the explanation, you make the same mistake next week.
I've definitely done that. Copied the corrected version, felt good for a moment, then made exactly the same mistake in my next sentence.
Everyone does. But when you ask for the explanation, your brain has to engage. You have to read it, understand it, and connect it to what you wrote. That's a completely different kind of learning.
Okay, so comments first, then the daily journal, then one paragraph with AI feedback, and after that,
you go bigger. A full essay, 3 or 4 paragraphs, on a topic that makes you think, not just share an opinion, but actually structure an argument. Is technology improving education? Should cities ban cars? Something that forces you to build a real text, not just write down what's in your head.
That sounds harder.
It is harder, and it should be. By that stage, you've been producing English every day for weeks. Your brain is already warmer. The jump to a full essay feels much smaller when you've done the steps before it. If you'd tried to write a full essay on day 1, how would that have gone?
sighing terribly. I probably would have written 3 sentences, decided I was bad at English, and given up.
Exactly. The steps exist to make each next thing feel possible. Not easy, possible. That's the difference.
Can I ask something? All of this is writing. You said the goal is speaking. How does writing actually help with speaking?
Great question. Writing trains your brain to produce English under lower pressure. When you write, you have time to think, time to choose words, time to check yourself. Speaking doesn't give you that time, but if you've already spent weeks training your brain to produce English, to reach for words and find them, to build sentences and complete them, that work carries over. Your brain has practiced the producing side. Speaking becomes less terrifying because the producing muscle is already moving.
So writing is like a gentler path into the same muscle.
Exactly. And now for the speaking side. This is where most people want to start, and also where most people give up fastest, because they go straight to the hard version.
Like I did with that speaking group.
Like most people do. So we start even gentler than that. Here's the first thing I want you to try. Open a book, any book in English, and read it out loud. Not silently, out loud.
That's reading, though, not speaking.
You'd be surprised how many people say exactly that. Empathically, but here's what's actually happening. Speaking is a physical skill. Your mouth, your breath, your rhythm, your pace, all of that needs training, the same way your legs need training before a long run. Reading aloud warms up that whole system. It builds what I call your speaking muscle memory. And most people who freeze when they speak haven't built that muscle memory at all. They've only ever moved their lips in silence.
I do that. I read things silently even when I'm practicing pronunciation in my head.
Everybody does, but speaking out loud is completely different. Your brain processes it differently. Your ear hears it differently. The physical movement of producing spoken English, even from a script, that's training. Don't underestimate it.
Okay. Read aloud. That's step 1 on the speaking side.
And step 2 is a small twist on it. Stand up, walk around the room as you're reading, and imagine you're presenting that information to an audience, even an imaginary one.
That sounds a bit eccentric, honestly.
It sounds eccentric until you try it and feel the difference. Something shifts when you stand up. Your voice opens, your pace changes, and the imaginary audience trick does something specific. It turns a reading activity into a producing activity. Instead of just reading words on a page, you're delivering them. You're trying to make someone understand. That's the first step of real spoken output.
You're turning input into output.
Exactly. You take something that is pure input, words written by someone else, and you make it output by delivering it as if it's coming from you. It's a bridge between the two, and it works, especially for people who feel they don't have the confidence yet to produce their own words.
That's clever. Because I have the words, I just borrowed them from the book, but I'm still the one delivering them.
And your brain doesn't fully distinguish. It feels the effort of delivery. It builds the habit of speaking. And slowly, without the pressure of finding your own words at the same time, you get better at both.
The pressure of finding my own words at the same time, that's the thing that always gets me. I'm trying to think of what to say it correctly, and not forget the grammar, and not sound strange. And by the time I've done all of that, the moment is past.
Empathically, that's not a language problem. That's an overload problem. You're asking your brain to do too many things at once before any of them are automatic. Reading aloud removes most of those layers. Walking and reading aloud removes one more. And gradually, step by step, those layers start to become automatic until one day you open your mouth and the sentence just arrives.
One day the sentence just arrives. I want that.
That's where we're heading.
Have you ever heard of the shadowing technique?
I've seen it mentioned somewhere. I never actually tried it.
It's worth trying. You find someone whose English you genuinely admire, a native speaker with a clear accent. It can be any accent you prefer. And you find a video of that person speaking. Then you do this. You play a sentence, You pause, you repeat it. Play, pause, repeat. You're not just listening, you're actively copying the rhythm, the pace, the exact sounds. You're training your mouth to do what their mouth is doing.
Like copying someone at the gym. Instead of reading about how to lift, you just watch and imitate.
Exactly that. And it doesn't have to be a formal practice session. 5 minutes a day is enough. The consistency matters more than the length. 5 minutes every day beats 1 hour once a week, every time.
That I can do. I'm on my phone constantly anyway. I could just pick someone I already watch and use their videos.
That's perfect. Pick someone you actually enjoy listening to. That makes it feel less like homework and more like something you actually want to come back to.
Okay, read aloud while walking, shadowing. What's next?
This one might sound strange. Talk to yourself.
Talk to myself.
Out loud, in English, every day. Imagine a situation. You're explaining your day to a friend. You're describing a film you just watched. You're having a disagreement with someone. You're giving advice. Just start talking. Nobody's listening. Nobody's judging. The only job is to produce spoken English.
What if I run out of things to say after about 10 seconds?
Then you sit with the silence for a moment and you ask yourself, what would I say next? That gap, that pause where your brain is reaching for the next word, that is the exact moment the training is happening. You're not failing when you pause. You're working.
I always thought the pause meant I was bad at it.
The pause is the muscle working. Think of it like that moment in a workout when something gets hard. That's not failure. That's the point where the improvement happens. When talking to yourself gets too comfortable, you push a little harder. You describe something more complicated. You argue both sides of something. You tell a story with a beginning, a middle, and an end.
My teacher once told me something similar. She said, if you want to improve your speaking, you need to be a little crazy. I didn't really understand what she meant then.
She was right. The people who improve fastest are the ones who are willing to look slightly ridiculous while nobody's watching. Talking to yourself, walking around the room, reading to an imaginary audience, none of it looks dignified, but it works.
None of it looks dignified, but it works. I'm going to write that down.
Good. Now, the second to last step, and this one has completely changed things for people who are shy or who feel their level isn't ready, is to practice speaking with AI.
Speaking with the AI, not typing to it.
Speaking, out loud. Most AI tools have a voice mode now. You open it, you click the microphone, and you speak. It responds. You speak again. It's not a real person, which for a lot of people is exactly the point. There's no judgment, there's no awkward silence. You can stop and start. You can say something wrong and just try again.
I never thought of using it that way. I always just type.
Typing to AI is useful, but if you want to improve your spoken output, you need to actually speak. Typing gives your fingers a workout, not your voice. The physical act of producing spoken English out loud in real time, that's what builds the muscle memory we keep coming back to.
That's a good point. I type everything. Even when I'm practicing in my head, I'm kind of typing internally, if that makes any sense.
It makes complete sense. A lot of people do that. And it's comfortable because there's no pressure. But comfortable doesn't improve your speaking. Speaking improves your speaking.
Speaking improves your speaking. That's almost annoyingly simple.
The best things usually are. And here's why I saved the last step for the end. Not because it's the most important, though it is, but because you have to be ready for it. The ultimate goal of learning a language is to communicate with real people. Not AI, not yourself in the mirror, real people.
Which is terrifying.
Which is terrifying, and also the only thing that truly finishes the work. Everything we talked about today, the writing steps, reading aloud, shadowing, talking to yourself, voice practice with AI, all of it is preparation for this moment. The moment you have a real conversation with a real person in English about something that actually matters to you.
How do I find that, realistically? I don't live in an English-speaking place. My friends and family don't speak English. The only time I actually use English is watching things online.
That used to be a genuine barrier. It's much less of one now. There are online communities of learners at exactly your level, working on exactly your problem. Language exchange partners, conversation groups, people who are also looking for someone to practice with. The connection is there, it just takes one step to find it.
And if I do all the steps before it, I'll be more ready for that conversation when it happens.
You'll be much more ready. You'll walk in having already trained your output for weeks. You'll know how to share your thoughts. You'll know how to build a sentence under pressure because you've been doing it privately. The first real conversation will still feel challenging, I won't pretend otherwise, but it won't feel impossible.
Honest question. I've been studying English for 8 years. How long will this actually take if I do all of this?
Honestly, if you're consistent, daily journal, reading aloud, shadowing, talking to yourself, voice practice with AI, you'll feel a real difference in your spoken output within 4 to 6 weeks. Not perfect, not fluent overnight, but noticeably different. The freeze you described, that blank moment when someone asks you a question, that will start to happen less.
4 to 6 weeks. That's shorter than I expected.
Because the problem was never how much English you know. You know enough. The problem was that your output had never been trained. Once you start training it consistently, every day, it responds quickly. Your brain already has the language. It just needs to learn how to produce it.
My brain already has the language, it just needs to learn how to produce it.
And it will.
You know, I came here thinking you were going to tell me to learn more vocabulary lists or find another grammar course, and instead you've just completely reframed the whole thing.
Because you didn't need more input. You needed someone to point at the output side and say, that's the door. That's where you go next.
That's the door. Okay, I know where I'm going.
You do. Start tonight. 5 sentences in a journal about today. That's all. Nothing more.
5 sentences about today.
And come back and tell me what happened.
I will. Actually, I think I will.